All right, let's just get right into it. This is the big one, isn't it? The question that's probably been swirling around in your head if you're even thinking about this stuff. How long does it actually take to heal your brain?
And hey, if you're asking this, you are definitely not alone. I mean, it is pretty much the number one question people have when they finally decide to make a change and stop watching porn. And that makes perfect sense, right? You want a roadmap. You want to know what the journey looks like. So, if you're just looking for a simple, straightforward number to latch onto, here it is: 30 days.
But wait a second. 30 days is a great baseline, but it is absolutely not the whole story, not even close. The real answer, well, it's a little more complex and honestly, a whole lot more meaningful.
Okay, so let's start with that 30-day idea. This concept really comes from experts like Dr. Anna Lemke, a psychiatrist over at Stanford. She basically argues that this first month is an absolutely critical, foundational period for anyone trying to break free from an addiction. So, what does this baseline actually mean? It's really important to get this right. It's not about being cured in 30 days. Think of it more like this: you need at least 30 consecutive, uninterrupted, porn free days just to give your brain a fighting chance to begin the real healing process. It's like clearing the runway before the plane can even think about taking off. And this is super important to brace yourself for. In those first 30 days, don't be shocked if things actually feel worse for a while. You might be dealing with mood swings, a ton of anxiety, maybe your energy just tanks. These are all classic withdrawal symptoms. It doesn't mean you're failing, it just means your brain is putting up a fight to get back to its old familiar patterns. So, to really wrap our heads around the timeline beyond that first month, we need a better way to think about it. And honestly, this next comparison is just brilliant. Think of healing your brain exactly like you think about getting in shape. Seriously, just think about it for a second. If somebody came up to you and asked, "Hey, how long does it take to get a six-pack?" What's the first thing that would pop into your head? You'd say, well, it depends, right? Of course. And that's the key. Getting abs depends on where you're starting from, your body fat percentage, and what your strategy is, your diet, your workout plan, how consistent you are. Well, healing your brain works on the exact same logic. It all comes down to your personal starting point and your recovery strategy. So let's break down that first piece of the puzzle, your starting point. This is all about taking a really honest look at where you are in this journey right now. And your starting point isn't just one thing, it's a whole bunch of factors. How many years have you been doing this? How much time are you spending on it each week? Has the kind of content you watch gotten more extreme over time? Are we talking about hardcore stuff, specific fetishes, or even VR? The deeper the grooves are worn into your brain, the more work it takes to pave new ones. Okay, so that was the past. But now let's talk about the second factor. And this one is arguably the most important, because it's the one you have complete control over right now. And that's your strategy. How you decide to tackle this, it changes everything. A lot of us, when we try to quit, fall into some really common traps. We try to kind of wean off it, maybe watch a little less often or switch to something we think is softer. But let's be real, these strategies, they usually just don't work for lasting change. So what does work? A much more effective path is quitting cold turkey. It sounds tough, I know, but being willing to just face that initial withdrawal period head on is a much faster route. The key is to make a clean break and then, and this is critical, actively replace that old habit with something better. And that brings us to the most empowering part of this whole discussion, how you can actually speed up your own healing. This isn't just about not doing something, it's about starting to do a bunch of other, better things. The whole game here is to replace those quick, cheap hits of dopamine with real, healthy, rewarding activities. Things like moving your body, actually connecting with people face to face, challenging your mind with a new skill, or just finding some stillness through meditation or time in nature. These aren't just distractions, you see. This is the real, active work of rewiring your brain's entire reward system. So we've covered the 30-day baseline, the two big factors of starting point and strategy, and how to accelerate the process. But now we've got to come back to that original question, because the most important answer actually involves completely reframing it. So after all that, let's ask it again. What's the real number? Give it to me straight. How long does it actually take to heal? The answer is that it doesn't matter. The number itself is irrelevant, because quitting isn't about crossing some imaginary finish line. It's a commitment you make for life. Just let that sink in for a minute. 10 years from now, are you going to look back and care if the really tough part at the beginning took you 60 days, or 90 days, or 160 days? No way. All that will matter is that you started, that you made the choice. That's what your future self is going to thank you for. So you see, the question was never really how long will it take. The real question, the only one that truly matters, is right here. Are you ready to start?